Hi, this is Ryan Phillips here, and this is my game tonight against Stephen Barbre. This is my first time playing him. I had the white pieces, and I unfortunately lost this game. I thought I had fairly reasonable position, and I think I just basically blew the game, unfortunately. So here we go. It went e4, e4, c5, knight f3, e6, d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4, knight c6. So I always have trouble remembering the difference. I think this is the timing off, and I think a6 is the con, but I'm not. I seem to have trouble remembering that line for some reason. Anyway, so then after knight c6, I went knight c3, and Stephen played a pretty rare move of bishop b4. And trying to remember if I played this game, this line before. I think I had a game against Glenn with a similar line, but I'm trying, which I ended up winning. But I can't recall if it was the exact same line or just a similar line. So hold on, maybe I could. I got like a bundle of score sheets here, so hopefully I could find the game here real quick. But anyway, this line is definitely a sharp line for Black to play. Without the knight on f6, I don't have to worry about the pin as far as losing a pawn immediately. But it's still kind of an annoying pin, even without that threat at the moment. So let's see, I have some. I'll find it here just one more second. Probably should have been prepared before I started the video. Sorry about that. I know it's here. Okay. Anyway, yeah, it was the same exact continuation, and that game basically went the same as this game. So I played all the moves were the same. I played knight d to b5 in that game and in this game as well. And Glenn differentiated from Stephen's move. So Stephen played knight f6, but against Glenn played a big mistake here, I think with d6, which I think is a significant mistake because after a3, it's very difficult to guard this pawn on d6. So basically, if bishop takes c3, just b takes c3 is going to win this pawn. There's really no adequate way to defend it. They can move like king e7, something like that might be forced, and that might be the only way to protect the pawn. But that's a pretty nasty looking position for Black already. So anyway, so Stephen played a better move with knight f6, and now he allows me to jump a knight into d6 if I want to, but it's not very strong. So actually the computer's showing absolutely no advantage. So I went to computer's first move of a3, and he took, and then I actually considered slightly taking out the pawn, but I didn't really see the benefit. So taking with the knight seemed a lot more natural, guarding the pawn, and yeah, I thought this move was just clearly better. Actually, I didn't. I'm sorry. This video's been a little sloppy. Sorry about that. Actually, after knight f6, I didn't play a3. I apologize. I played the much rarer move of bishop f4. So I apologize. This video's been off to a sloppy start. But after bishop f4, I thought the threat of knight c7 check was pretty good. I saw that he could play knight takes e4, but I thought that was kind of a double-edged continuation. So I was curious about that. One line maybe. I considered just knight c7 check. And I guess knight takes a1's not that, or knight takes a8 is not that great on account of queen f6 looks like a tough move to find. I might just calculate knight takes c3, takes, and then bishop d2, with a pretty looks like a pretty even position here. Because it's not easy to regain the knight right away. and the black king's a little exposed, and white has a 2 bishops. So looks like black has 2 pawns here if they can get the knight back, but it's not so easy to get the knight back right away. So I think Stephen went with a more practical choice. He played e5 here, and I just continued with bishop g5. And then he played castles. I was kind of thinking a6 may be playable, but then after a6 I think knight d6 is pretty strong here. So anyway, so he castled first, which is a computer showing is the best move. And I thought here was a good time to play a3, kick the bishop away. And I was expecting him to maybe retreat, but he went right ahead and just took the knight off on c3. And then again I had a small choice between b takes c3 or knight takes c3, but knight takes c3 looked a little bit better to me. And then he played h6. And Stephen was critical of this move after the game, but I thought it was perfectly fine. I just took the knight on f6 so I can get my knight into d5, so I thought that was perfectly logical. Computer showing bishop e3 is slightly better, with a little bit of an advantage for white. I thought this line gave white a little bit of an advantage also, so I didn't end up playing it too well. Queen takes f6, and then knight d5. And then, so everything was basically, this is all the lines I calculated, so he went with queen g6. And here I thought queen d3 and f3 I was torn between, and then I ended up going with queen f3, which was kind of my first instinct. So those were the 3 moves I was considering, were queen d3. I didn't really, the drawback of queen d3 is it kind of blocks my bishop. So I thought maybe I'd have to like fianchetto the bishop with g3, bishop g2 or something, or swing the queen over. I don't know, maybe, I'm not sure where. So I just thought it'd be difficult to develop this bishop. And f3 I kind of liked, but I thought maybe it was just slow. Like I thought f3 was a good move, obviously, because now the queen on d2 could protect the pawn on g2. But I felt like it was kind of slow in this position, that maybe Steve was starting to get kind of his pieces into the game a little bit. So I wanted to play a little bit more aggressively and develop a piece with queen f3. And then he played d6. And here maybe I played a slight inaccuracy, but I thought it was a reasonable move. I played bishop b5. And the idea is just to chop off this knight and then play knight e7 check, winning the queen. But maybe this was just maybe this wasn't a precise move. So Steve played bishop g4, and then I took on c6, which was my intention. So I guess I kind of traded into a slightly inferior endgame, but nothing too significant. So it looks like I lost my advantage, and it's just like bishop b5 was an accuracy that kind of cost me my advantage. It's like bishop d3, and then probably castle or something at some point would probably be fine for white. Castle kingside I think would be safe. So anyway, bishop b5, and then I wasn't too worried about knight d4. I actually thought knight d4 might be okay for me. Just playing knight e7. And this is the variation I had planned in my mind, and I thought this was actually okay. I know that open f file is pretty bad for white, but I thought I had compensation with the half open d file. I thought d6 pawn was just as weak as the f3 pawn, and that I should be okay. So he ended up playing, again, he played bishop g4, and I played bishop takes c6, and he played bishop takes f3. So these are all kind of forcing continuations. And yeah, maybe g takes f3 would have been safest, but I ended up playing bishop takes b7, and then he played bishop takes g2. And here I think I played the losing move. I went with bishop takes a8, and this is pretty. It's probably not losing. That's maybe too strong a word to use now, but it was a significant mistake. I thought rook g1. I obviously considered that move, and I probably didn't fully understand the merits behind it, and that's disappointing. So that kind of, I thought maybe my rook on g2 would be a little passive. That was my kind of main concern. And I was worried this rook on g2 might not be so active, but I don't know, maybe with the half open g file I could double up, and then if black plays g5, maybe I could try even h4 at some point, but I just thought my position was a little passive. So I played the inferior move, I think, with bishop takes a8, and then Steve played bishop takes h1, obviously, and then here, this probably was the losing move. I played castle queenside here, and this move is just losing. I can't hold the f2 pawn after this move. So it looks like bishop d5, which is obviously a perfectly logical and normal move. Probably could have held the position. So if something like bishop f5, rook f4, and then the computer showing rook d1 as being a good move, which is interesting. That's interesting. I guess basically just taking advantage of the fact that black king is pretty out of play and the pawns are really weak. I mean, the only way to defend the pawn, I guess. Well, I don't know. Rook c4 does look pretty good, but even rook here, I guess. And then this is actually losing because the black king has a very hard time getting over to save the pawn. But rook c4 looks pretty good to me. I'm not sure. So computer still evaluates this as dead even. Yes, this is pretty interesting. So even being down upon white, black's pieces are just very poorly coordinated, and this pawn mass on g7, h6, and g6 is just very ugly looking. So yeah, that probably would have been better than what I played. So I played castle queenside, which was a significant blunder, and then after bishop f3, rook d3, bishop e2. Basically just completely lost. So I played rook d2, which was a worse move than rook e3. Then he took the f2 pawn, and now I have to create a left for my king, otherwise I'm going to get back rank mated. So rook takes d6 looked a bit better, but I ended up playing c3. So yeah, rook takes d6 is significantly better. I think I was probably a little frazzled at this point, of course. Rook takes h2, rook takes d6, and then g5. And I kept playing on, but there's nothing I could do. I can't stop these pawns, unfortunately. So I played bishop d5. And then Steve took a move out of his... he could have played g4 immediately. He played bishop f3, which is a logical move. And then, I don't know, I was trying to create some threats, but it didn't matter at this point. G4, rook takes e5, g3, rook f5, g2, and then I resigned. So, yeah, it's a pretty disappointing game. I thought I had a perfectly even position at the opening, and of course I have the white pieces, so having, I thought I actually had a slight advantage, and I guess I kind of drifted. Bishop b5 was too much, I guess it was too optimistic of a move, and it kind of ended up costing me the game. Not that move, of course, but the subsequent series kind of started to turn the tables from a slight advantage to me to a slight advantage for black, and then, I don't know, I didn't feel like I did anything too wrong this game except for castle queenside, but Steve's a pretty strong player, real strong player, so that's basically all it took. I can't let black get all these passed pawns, of course, on the king side. I mean, that's just suicide for me. Anyway, though, thanks for tuning in. This is Ryan signing off, and hopefully next week I will play something a little bit better than this. All right, thanks.